Boom, 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 boom. Hey. How you going? I'm Thundercloud, here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame on Chillin Tuesdays. Washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Well, I'm going to have a few poetic games tonight for you. Everyone knows Mum calls me James. I'm going to put this heater on above me because it's Chillin Tuesday and I don't want to freeze. Now, what's been going on here? I'm going to make myself a bit comfortable because we are chilling after all. And here we are in my beautiful seahorse shirt. What's been going on here? We've had a really wonderful weekend with a bush dance here from the Big Hairy Bush Dance Band at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame during the Trout Fest here in Guyra. And on Sunday we had the Poets Breakfast, and a big thank you to Paddy O'Brien, and a big shout out to Paddy O'Brien over there at in the Tweed Valley, Mount Burrell, where he lives, near my sister. So yeah, hey Paddy, thank you very much for coming over and doing your wonderful poetry here on Sunday morning at the Poets Breakfast. Thank you also to Gladys Wilson for showing up too, and everyone else who turned up on the day. Wow! Oh, as well as that last week, oh my dear, this place so fortunate. Goodness gracious, did we receive a lot of wonderful books here. Poetry books, of course, but also other books. Well, so I've got a great collection of poetry here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. And it's just growing and growing and growing. And on Friday and Sunday, the Guyra Rotary Club held a book fair, second-hand book fair at the RSL Hall, part of the Trout Fest. And I managed to score a good, dozen or so Australian poetry books. And one of those is this one. 60 classic Australian poems, edited, selected with commentaries by Geoff Page, but there is one by Geoff Page and I will be reading out of this, and that's actually got a commentary by someone else. So I'll be reading about 4 poems out of that, 60 classic Australian poems, really well selected book, published in 2014 from memory. As well as that, all the way from Western Australia, 2 packages. Irish tea. Nothing quite like it. Nice and strong. Got sent to me by Coral Carter of WA Poets Inc. and the WA Poets Festival. And one of them is her own book, Backyard Listening, so I'll be reading a few poems out of there. And the other one, RECOIL 10, 10 years of the Perth Poetry Club. So the Perth Poetry Club has been publishing RECOIL yearly for 10 years, and this is the 10th edition. And it's got a selection of poems from 1 through to 10 years. So I'll be reading out of there, just a few that I've quickly selected. My goodness gracious me, praise the Most High, that there are such wonderful writers out there, and poets in the beginning was the word, and after that was the second word was poetry. And then what happened? Jehovah had to create poets, so because he just didn't have enough time to write so much poetry. Well, on that note, what else arrived from Western Australia? From UWA Press, University of WA Press, the collected poems of Faizwiki, edited and introduced by Lucy Dugan and Tim Darwin. And I've got 5 copies of that here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame for sale. So if you're dropping by, there's plenty of poetry here and other classic books, Solzhenitsyn and a whole bunch of Australian writers as well. What else arrived this week? Emily Ballou, The Darwin Poems. It's a verse novel about Charles Darwin's life. I'll be reading the beginning and the end of that. And this one here, the Western Australian poet Geoffrey Lehman, for poems from 1957 to 2013. He got this was a Prime Minister's Literary Award winner in 2015. I didn't know Prime Minister in 2015 could read. How interesting. Right, moving right along. I'm going to read to you. And that's what I'll be reading to you tonight. And I was going to start with 60 classic Australian poems. And what's really great about this one is it's a really thick book because each poem has then like a really wonderful commentary by Geoffrey Page about it. Now the first one I'll be reading out is, yes, my favourite First Nations poet, and warning, cultural sensitivity warning to the First Nations people. I will be mentioning the name of someone who is passed on. And on that note, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land on which I broadcast, the Kamilaroi people, and the traditional custodians of all the First Nations right across this continent that's now called Australia, and the continuing connection to the land of the elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded. Oodgeroo Noonuccal Gifts. This is a poem about a mating ritual. I will bring you love, said the young lover, a glad light to dance in your dark eye. Pendants I will bring of white bone, and gay parrot feathers to deck your hair. But she only shook her head. I will put a child in your arms, he said. Will be a great headman and great rainmaker. I will make remembered songs about you, that all the tribes in all the wandering camps will sing forever. But she was not impressed. I will bring you the still moonlight on the lagoon, and steal for you the singing of all the birds. I will bring down the stars of heaven to you, and put the bright rainbow into your hand. No, she said. Bring me tree grubs. Kath Walker's Oodgeroo Noonuccal's We Are Going 1964 was the first collection of poetry by an Aboriginal person published in Australia. In later years, Kath changed her name to Oodgeroo Noonuccal, and by 1993 was easily the best known and most widely respected Aboriginal poet in the country. The title poem of the first collection is often anthologised, and her sardonic poem No More Boomerang is also widely known and has been several times set to music. It is in this one here that I just read out, Gifts, however, that her talent is seen at its most sophisticated. In this short account of tribal courtship, Oodgeroo has written something which is specifically concerned both with traditional Aboriginal life. There is no mention of anything subsequent to the white man's arrival. And with differences between the sexes worldwide, it is also perhaps incidentally a sardonic put-down of long-held attitudes towards poetry as a seduction device. Oodgeroo's young would-be lover proceeds in 3 steps, and their order is important. In the first stanza, he offers the girl jewellery and adornments, and of course a love that will cause a glad light to dance in your eye. Note that he offers his love first, and then backs it up as necessary with something he assumes is more substantial. The girl's reaction, by contrast, is not even verbal. She only shook her head. In the second stanza, the young lover becomes more ardent and eloquent. He appeals to her nascent maternal instincts by saying, "I will put a child in your arms." And typically, for a male perhaps, tells her how she'll be able to live vicariously through her husband's achievements as he becomes a great headman, great rainmaker. In addition, he offers to immortalise her in a song, blandishment employed by poets in European culture, as far as least the ancient Greeks. It seems to have had a similar or even greater durability in Aboriginal culture. Needless to say, the girl again is not impressed. In the third stanza, and more urgently now, the young lover offers her poetry itself. Romantic poetry, that is. He will bring her the still moonlight on the lagoon. He will steal for her the singing of all the birds. If these are not successful, he will give her the stars of heaven and even put the bright rainbow in her hand. It's notable but that in the ordering of the young lover's powers and skills, poetry is accounted the highest. Some may argue that what the young man is offering is not so much poetry as magic. Perhaps he's boasting that he will become a clever fella, a great lawman who will have supernatural powers. The point remains, however, that all these magical offerings take poetic expression. Moonlight on the water, birdsong, stars and rainbows are standard poetic ingredients across cultures. At last, in repose to poetry, his ultimate weapon, she does deign to reply verbally. Not only is this reply a great undercutting of the sublime, moonlight on the lagoon and so on, it shows that she's keeping her options open. The extravagances she's heard are fine as far as they go, but tree grubs in her and her children's belly are more essential. It may be that tree grubs are food traditionally gathered by men, but there can be no doubt that she prefers their flavour and their sustenance to stars, rainbows and moonlight. We note that the young girl does not reject the man outright. She just makes a more important demand. It's quite possible that with tree grubs, the romance could proceed. We may assume that Oodgeroo as a female identifies with the practicality of the girl's preference, but it's also possible that as a poet she might be implying that the audience for poetry, rather depressingly, is more often inclined to tree grubs than to the fineries of blank verse, or song cycles for that matter. In any case, it's blank verse that Oodgeroo uses throughout most of the poem, and skillfully too. Kath Walker, as she was then, was forced to leave school at 13 and work as a domestic. In lines such as, "A glad light to dance in your dark eye," there is no trace of under-education. The adjacent stresses on glad and light and on dark and eye emphasise all the key ideas, as does the alliteration from dance through to dark. It's a very sensuous image. One almost wonders why it didn't win the girl after all. Alright, I'll read some more of that later on. Yes, I'm a bit stiff in the shoulders tonight. from training at Healthy Him, and we did boxing training and, whacking into stuff when you don't do it that I'll often give stiff shoulders and a stiff neck. Oh, nice tea. All right, look, I mentioned earlier the poems of Coral Carter of WA Poets Inc., Perth Poets Inc., and I think something like that, and the Perth Poetry Festival. Anyway, this is her book, Backyard Listening. I've had a brief look through it, and it's for me, I have so much to do here. I would really love more time to read some of these books. I'd like more time to write too. Maybe I can get like what do you call those things where you do a residency for a week or a month or something in another country, I don't know. But where I can write and go and teach poetry somewhere. Think about it. Yeah. I'm for hire. Oh yes. So Coral Carter's Backyard Listening book here. I'm not even sure if there's a bio about Coral in here, to tell you the truth. Is there in the back? Not in the front. Coral Carter lives in Perth. She's spent many years living and working in isolated and outback communities in Australia. Was a guest at the 2013 Queensland Poetry Festival, an inaugural writer-in-residence for the Northern Territory Writer Centre in 2013. Her poem Summer Blue Skies was featured on the Perth Cultural Centre screen as a media exhibition during the summer of 2015. This book, Backyard Listening, is a very Australian collection in tone, theme and breadth. Physical and psychic feast deeply steeped in the Australian milieu, encompassing the rural, urban, suburban and desert, delivered with muscular energy and unswerving directness. It is sharp, unsentimental, sometimes harshly beautiful as the landscapes it inhabits. It is evocative, full of rich soundscapes and held throughout with a strong, empathetic core. This is a personal and communal journey through Australian histories and her stories, where the empathetic voyeur in the Backyard Listening is there as a witness. Julie Watts wrote that. Okay, so Coral Carter's, and the book, when was it published? 2019 by Mulla Mulla Press, Salisbury, Street, Bayswater, Western Australia. There you go. One morning when the clothesline was strung with water beads, the power line was hung with galahs, I saw a black-shouldered hawk hunched on a lookout post, a hoodie of clouds pulled over his head. Hunting birds grow thin in winter as reptiles sleep the cold away and small birds hide from rain. I saw a grey and white cat squashed on the highway. Between bush and streets, its belly full of natives, clawed from lower branches, its greedy guts mashed into well-kept fur, a grind of mince under caution, wide load wheels. The head still intact, popped eyes stared in the direction of a fireside. the kill. A small bird, imagine it young, panicked by a butcher, chased by a killer, crashes into a high wire. Butcher bird hovers, then swoops, rinses with a feathered pom-pom its beak. Eperb bird peeps grow weak in the charnel house among leaves. "2:00 by the sundial. We went to visit a woman. She's her own worst enemy. Takes too much on her journey. A gallery, printmaking, committees, council, cancer, Lost Dog Foundation, a daughter unmarried, bends her head close as she tells me, breathless with excess, I breathe the weight of her baggage. She tells me, she sells me a hat and scarf. I can post a check later. Mary leaves hang still. 2:00 by the sundial. I had a little book. Had a little book. Had a little book. Wrote it all down. Wrote it all down. Stay down. All down. Lawn chairs wait. There is a graveyard in the light. Fans make poor compasses. Shamans breathe us to light. Post broken into darkness. Lighting plays space. Big screen performances. A band of one possesses a blank diary. Maybe the sun will rise. Lichens bleach at noon. Hot forge of two, seasoned with Chilean salt. There is one thing, then another thing. On the table, mandarin peel. 30 stories of glass. Clouds tear holes above. Leave an intercession at the door. 5 pieces of broken mirror reflect sky. Download drama. Under a sky grey evening drips. Stormy season hangs until it breaks. Light bounces. Clouds rumple and spill. Elimination of dust. In a fit of cleverness. Poisoned from the feet up. I am my medical condition. Red underscore. Just one more for luck. Tomorrow I forgot. Well, so yeah, Coral Carter, thank you very much for sending us your book there, Coral. And that will go into the Australian Poetry Library and Archive for posterity and preservation, and so people can come and peruse poetry permanently. Something like that. Alright. RECOIL 10. 10 years of the Perth Poetry Club. Now, I didn't have much time to go through this and actually read, and I just randomly chose what I liked, what I'd read, and I was like, oh yeah, I like that one, oh no, I don't like that one, and this is what you end up with. Okay. This one is called Porn, P-A-W-N, not P-O-R-N. Like, the P-O-R-N means the one that you watch where people like have sex and stuff. This one is P-A-W-N, it's like a chess piece. You know, on the chessboard you've got all the ones at the back, the strong ones, and you've got all the little ones at the front that go dee. Porn, that one, right. P-A-W-N. Of all the pieces on the board, the pawn is born into the game with the least to lose and the most to gain. Hers is a limited trajectory. She's easily blocked or carried off. It's a risky business surviving a game where sacrifice is a strategy. But these small profiles conceal a strength severe. Slow moving patriarch, don't rest your eyes. Watch well over your lines, because pawns can transform. So all you bishops beware. We know what you keep in your cloaks. And knights, guard your swords with care. We know where your horses sleep. And even if only one of us makes it to the border, ravaged by all the king's men, when she comes back in royal wrath, her gilded crown ablaze, pockets heavy, she will repay you for her sisters with a swift, silent swish of her skirts. Bronwyn Lovell, published in Poetcast 38 in Recoil 6. Okay, this next one, Magnifying Glass by Caitlin Mahony, published in Recoil number 5, Recoil 5. A magnifying glass. A magnifying glass filters the sun, and with patience it focuses the rays into a single dot on the concrete. Moving this dot onto a leaf, the power of my dot becomes obvious. First smoke and a smell, then blackness, and finally a hole. I make a second, third, fourth, different leaves, different smells. And soon I'm surrounded by holy leaves. I take my magnifying glass to school. Clouds part and allow me to demonstrate my newfound skill. Let me have a go. I'm next. Each in turn feels the joy I discovered yesterday. Again, I'm surrounded by holy leaves. But young boys trying to outdo each other turn their attentions to innocent ants. Scanning my dot over the ground, eventually capturing an ant within its boundaries. Smoke, ant gone. Victorious boys find the next victim and the next. My discovery turned into a tool of death. I silently watch on. The ants pay the price for my want to stay quiet and be accepted. Caitlin Mahony, Recoil 5. Well, this one is by someone called Helchild, but Helchild. This has got a language warning in it because it uses the CUNT word. Trans girlfriend. She's telling me you have a fake cunt. Drunken slur. It's not real. It's a construction. It's a constructed hole. It's a fake hole. She's a fake woman. I think she just outed you as trans. With the look of glee, she's jealous of you. She fancies me. But I think you're beautiful. And your body is your business. Unless you choose to make it otherwise. In fact, the only fake cunt I can detect in the room is the one jabbering in my ear. I like that. Summercloud. Hold my honey butter flower hand. Touch twilight. Fire up blue. You man, our body. Family tree. Electric branch. I am here. Yellow circle. They say our silence thought, joined at green patterned edges, lit up momentarily. By Indigo Eli, published in RECOIL number 7. Jenifer Compton, this one published in RECOIL 3, this one's called Peaches. Now you are making me laugh and remember we had a peach tree next to our septic tank. Over the years, the tree had dug its roots well and truly right into the good muck. The taste of those peaches, hot and sweet, many in the village would come and beg for a bucket of good peaches. The peaches, shaped like buttocks, with a pink flesh. I would try to tastefully tell them exactly why the flavour was so excellent. You are eating us. Our ordure, our guano. But it never put them off. It was a clingstone peach with a golden flesh. The rosellas and bowerbirds would get drunk and disorderly on the ripe fruit up in the boughs. I would climb, go eyeball to eyeball with them, reach out a hand and slap them out of the tree. Then the council told us to get a new system, and damn, those peaches weren't as golden. Shit, eh? Oh yeah, okay. 5 Haiku by Meryl Manoy in RECOIL 7, and Meryl was born in 1930 and she passed on in 2019. Previously published in Creatrix Haiku, 5 Haiku. Storm, clouds, eclipse the sun, daisies fold. Heat wave, She stirs another jelly, set in her ways. Azalea blooms, open to bees. A visitor knocks on my door. Morning embrace, sun-kissed daisies unfold. Vapour trails over my steaming cup of tea. Okay, and the last one I'm going to read out of RECOIL number 10 here is Nocturnal House by Mike Greenacre, previously published in the Long Paddock Southerly, Volume 76, Number 3, 2016. Nocturnal House. I sit naked on the kitchen chair, the fridge murmuring through me. Mesh light shade creating a lattice field that catches my stare. Climbing, swinging carelessly. Until after moonlight, minds pause and walls stand as worded guardians over the incomplete. A cock crows and I know it's been too long, that daylight leaks what the night hoards. Okay, that's that. I need a sip of tea here. Oh, really need to stretch after my training last night. All right, what have we got for you now? Okay, I'm going to go all the way down to the Darwin Poems here by Emily Ballou. Now, let me, this was copyright Emily Ballou 2009. Okay, University of W.A. Press, right. Emily Ballou's sensitive and beautifully imagined portrait verse of Charles Darwin's life saves the man from the legend, bringing to light a fragile, deep felt humanity and capturing the textures of his work and dreams. There you go. Okay, here we go. So we're going to open this up and we're going to begin with the very first poem and the very last poem in the book. The Donkey, August 1817. All along the roads, the beds of grass played dead. That summer, the long blades bending under the weight of rain. Charles walked forever, legs unbound by fence or distance, a silver net of droplets in his hair. He wandered the river, casting plonking, skipping stones, pulling worms to hook, his nails thin black crescents. The air, the quivering air, carried him, its damp brew of scent that rose from the ground, that fell from the trees, honeysuckle, dirt, cow dung, field grass, wild flower, hay leaf, he trod underfoot. He gulped down deep breaths as his father, the doctor, did, trying to swallow the words for what he felt. Beneath the pine trees the insects lived and preyed. Still, he killed them. His pockets belched, treasure to hoard back praise. Black beetle carapaces, crumbling butterfly wings, pads of moss, quartz cored rocks, he smashed open on fence posts. Spooking the grey, sag-bellied, sad-eyed donkey, who believed he was a sheep among sheep, dumbly tearing grass, He taking us off across the field. Some of the Irish servants believed donkeys genuflected on Christmas Day, but this one couldn't protect the flock from foxes, and every week in spring a new dead sheep, a ram with a hole in its forehead. Stigmata from another ram's horns lay petrified on its side, bloated, fat, fly-blown fur black clotted with mud until the farmer dragged it away. His mother body too had grown toxic, sprouted a fatal mushroom like a field after rain, and all the world that had seemed to be made of glass, ecstatic, transparent, mysteriously molten, had broken. No amount of plunder, no collected cache of wonders could extract the adoration he now needed. To chase away the terrible secret growing daily within him, the thought that either his father was no doctor or God was a donkey. The plums. In the bowl on the round table by the windows were laid out for his father. The pyramid of dark plums in the shallow Wedgwood bowl, nearly black when ripe, ruby-lipped when not, oily, reflective, satin-skinned, piled on a plate in the sun, infinitely pinchable, infinitely delicate, hot when Charles touched them, when he inserted the tip of his smallest finger into their dark navels, from which stems had long fallen. If his father waited too long to eat them, the plums would wrinkle and weep, rubbed under thumbs. At first Charles would pocket a few, pile them in the store's cupboard or under the piano lid, to reap the glory when he found them again, his father's missing fruit. Then he began to flinch a bite of one, two, searching out the perfect plum. He pulled the skin off them with his teeth, watched beads of blood pin-prick the surface, ripped bits of peeling around the pink sponge. Old plums were soft and purple, not crisp. New plums were sour and crunched, too much, hard yellow pulp, inedible. He left them all, ruined by the river, the single bite he'd taken from each, like a torn smile. And now the last poem in the book, or one of the last. The Last Notebook. Have children ideas of time? Do monkeys cry? Have you solved it yet? His grandson hops the steps without counting them, and does not watch the hands on the clock go round. It is slow. Darwin notes in the end. The way of life drips at the sides, trickles along the edges of the self, spills like saliva across the corner of the mouth as he hobbles around the sandwalk one afternoon, counting each step, clutching a thought on their mental merits of worms and their unrecognised contribution to the history of the world. He drops down suddenly. Okay, so yeah, that's some of the Darwin poems by Emily Ballou. published by the University of WA Press, 2009. Alright, next what have I got for you? I'm going to get back to the 60 classic Australian poems published by the University of New South Wales Press. At least there's universities publish poetry, someone does. At least UQ Press, UWA Press and UNSW Press, and also Melbourne Uni Press with Nianjin. So yeah, it's great that we have that in Australia. Alright, now the one I really want to read out to you is Geoffrey Lehman's poem. Now, one of the books that I did manage to get this week was this one. It's the collected works of Geoffrey Lehman, but poems 1957 to 2013. And I'll be reading one of the later poems out of this. However, I'm going to read this one to you because it comes with a commentary. And there, so I will read you the commentary. Some of it. Maybe not. Because there's actually not a lot of commentary on the poem here, apart from the end of it, which I will. But Parenthood by Geoffrey Lehman. Parenthood. I have held what I hoped would become the best minds of a generation. Over the gutter, outside an Italian coffee shop, watching the small, warm splatter on the asphalt, impatient to rejoin an almond torta and a cappuccino at a Formica table. I've been a single parent with 3 children at a Chinese restaurant, the eldest 5 years old and each in turn demanding my company as they fussed in toilets and my pork satay went cold. They rarely went all at once. Each child required an individual moment of inspiration. And when their toilet pilgrimage was ended, I have tried to eat the remains of my meal with twisting children beneath the table, screaming and grabbing in a scrimmage. I've been wiping clean the fold between young buttocks as a pizza I hoped to finish was cleared from a red and white checked tablecloth. I have been pouring wine for women I was hoping to impress when a daughter ran for help through guests, urgently holding out her gift, a potty which I took with the same courtesy as she gave it, grateful to dispose of its contents so simply, in a flurry of water released by the pushing of a button. I have been buttered by heads which have told me to go away, and I have done so. My mouth has been wrenched by small hands wanting to reach down to my tonsils. As I lay in bed on Sunday mornings and the sun shone through the slats of dusty blinds, I have helpfully carried dilly-dallies up steps, who indignantly ran straight down and walked up by themselves. My arms have become exhausted, bouncing young animals until they fell asleep in my lap to Buxtehude, too cold to have been told, as I handed a piece of fruit from the refrigerator and for weeks had to warm refrigerated apples in the microwave so milk teeth cutting green. Carbohydrate did not chill. I have pleasurably smacked small bottoms which have climbed up and attached themselves on my lap, wanting the report and tingle of my palm. I've known large round heads that bumped and rubbed themselves against my forehead, and affectionate noses that loved to displace inconvenient snot from themselves onto me. The demands of their bodies have taken me to unfamiliar geographies. I've explored the white tiles and stainless steel benches of restaurant kitchens and guided short legs across rinsed floors smelling of detergent. Past men in white with heads lowered and cleavers dissecting and assembling mounds of sparkling pink flesh, and located the remote dark shrine of a toilet behind boxes of coarse green vegetables and long white radishes. I have badgered half asleep children along back streets at night, carrying whom I could to my van. I've stumbled with them, sleeping in my arms up concrete steps on winter nights after eating in Greek restaurants, counting each body, then slamming the door of my van and taking my own body, the last of my own tasks, to a cold bed free of arguments. I've lived in the extreme latitudes of child rearing, the blizzard, of the temper tantrum and my own not always wise or honourable response. The midnight sun of the child calling for attention late at night, and have longed for the white courtyards and Mediterranean calm of middle age. Now these small bodies are becoming civilised people, claiming they're not ashamed of a parent's overgrown garden and unpainted ceilings, which a new arrival, with an infant's forthrightness, complains are old. And the father of his tribe sleeps in a bed which is warm with arguments. Their bones elongate and put on weight, and they draw away into space. Their faces lengthen with responsibility and their own concerns. I can clutch as they recede and fret for the push of miniature persons, and claim them as children of my flesh, but my own body is where I must live. Now, Geoffrey Lehman, from his book, Poems 1957 to 2013, he was born in 1940, so that would have made him 73 when he passed on. All right. This one's called The Ring, and it's in 5 parts. 1. He loved an amethyst and 2 green garnets. He paid. A box snapped shut upon the ring. 2. As he produced the ring, her eyes lit up, intrigued by green and purple stones, compelled to touch its antique gold. Love at first sight. If you come back, he said, it's yours to keep. His wife did not come back, and 6 months later, she returned the ring. 3. The meanings of the ring, a beautiful object that he could love and own, or so he thought, a husband's gesture of goodwill and love, a small morality play that he had planned with simple plot and unambiguous roles. 4. He packed the ring away with all its meanings among some socks and slowly shut the drawer. Years passed. He met the woman of his life. She wore a bridal sari, red and gold. Their wedding party, cheap, as some guests decided, They had no money, hope and happiness come free. And they were young, or almost young. More children came, 2 boys, intense brown eyes. Weeds were cut back, the roses flowered again. Rubbish was emptied out of the dusty rooms. She civilised the beast that kept a ring, and she gave him love, community and family. Her sisters on the phone, 3 girls conspiring. He kissed her as she stepped out from the shower and joked about the poison ring, his phrase. It's got no meaning now. Oh yes, it has. And so it stayed, unwanted, in a drawer. 5. There was another who had loved the ring. His shadow crossed the grass. A spider web blew faintly as he passed. A glass pane shattered. An expert hand reached in. A door clicked open. A phantom of the sunlight slipped inside. His image registered in mirrors. Shoes flitted across the polished wooden floors. He moved from room to room, making no sound. Fastidious, leaving no mess behind. Gloved fingers opened drawers, selecting quickly, and rummaging in darkness, found the ring. And loved it for the heroine it would buy. Interesting end. Yeah. Geoffrey Lehman. And you can get a copy of that here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame or from the University of WA website. Press website, yeah. Same place I did. Alright, well we are coming to an end of the night. We've got Faze Wiki's book here to go. And so that's where I'm going. The collected poetry of Faze Wiki. Yeah, and this volume collects Faze Wiki's body of poetic work from her 7 books alongside poetry uncollected and unpublished. It demonstrates an erudite and passionate crafter of language and places Faze Wiki at the summit of Australian poetry. That's so yeah, I don't know who wrote that, but John Kinsella wrote the following quote. Swiki is one of the world's finest poets. Her sophistications of form and theme remind us of Akhmatova, Szymborska, Adrian Rich and William Blake. With poise and control, she tracks the personal encounter with the weight of history and the obligation to declare a position. Alright, so what have I chosen here? Elephant, of all things. I bulge in my bindings, dream wrinkled, dreaming of long, slow rivers. I rend with my pent-up proboscis, your buffeting seas, pendulous, delicate, hybrid of hand-nostril nerve, glorious, once could raise rocks, split trunks, pull feathers from air, pluck, nestling from nest, then rest. Silted in the shadow, one could pour up jungles in thunder and trumpets with 1 foot wrench. Kingdoms asunder intercept missions of stars. War fossil, power shard, hack hierophant, temple dancer, now plod, mud slumberous, sluiced in this world's waters, dreaming of long slow rivers, and you, sir, the source, the source, the source. The poet gives a reading. He told them all about himself and what his parents did to him, and how, though lazy, he once showed a slight but quite exceptional gift for tinkering with radios. How his parents also showed exceptional patience, plenty of expense and trouble, sent him east to study radio and still more. Radio, but he couldn't hear the words, couldn't follow even the simplest instruction. Efforts had been made, yes, efforts had been made to make him normal, oh so normal. He seemed so quick-witted, sane and even sometimes sensible. With reasonably earnest intentions, he told them all about what it was like to be married to his wife, what it was like to be a father. He read his favourite poem about love and walked up and down and then read another poem, not about his wife but also about love. Or so he said, and reading, walked up and down, his thumb stuck sharp in a brass-studded belt buckle, winking as a tow-haired student asked, were poets real and meaningful people? Oh yes, he said, real enough as real goes, a regular Western child I was. My mother needled, my father cold. My father drank his pay away, and I stayed young in my mind as your regular children do. He said, walking up and down, up and down, his thumbs growing restless in his belt, like the thumbs of regular children will when the dragon-shaped cloud hovers over the hill, and the day turns up to his wakening look, a seaman's son with eyes of blue who walked up and down like a stealthy screw and said read about more about love than your regular children do, pining messages on the jotting pad of his mind to the girl in white with a dark Indian face who left after the second last poem with a barely concealed yawn. Well, and that's it for me tonight from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Hum Thundercloud, washed away the garbage, leaving rainbows after the rain. Everybody knows Mum calls me James. If I've got anything for you from myself, what have I written? I've written a few things. I wrote about belly buttons fluff. Yes, that's very true. And if you look me up on Facebook, James Warren, then you'll find my poems about belly button fluff. What did I write today? Oh, I know, I'm going to go get it. It's just over here. It's a wooden book. Wouldn't you know it? Yeah, you wouldn't. Now, most books like open this way, except this one doesn't. It does. Opens that way. But not if you want to read it, because that would be upside down, see? Like that. So, if you want to read this book, you've got to turn it upside down, like that, and read it from the back. There's a reason for that. I'm left-handed, and then when it's open, if I was to write with my right hand, like a bit, like if it was that way, it would be alright. But I'm left-handed, and it would be a big, like, drop-off. So what I do, I turn it this way, I write this way. Okay? So the back page, upside down, is number 1, and it goes backwards this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll go right to the very end. What do I write today? The word. In the beginning was the word, which may very well have been Jehovah. However, the word spake next, struck a chord, rang a bell, and in whatever language existed at the time, at the beginning of the universe, that word was spake, and that word was poetry. And as the universe needed to grow and expand, a sentence was said. The sentence was lonely and needed a friend, and so another sentence was spake. Thus, a verse was formed, a seed was formed, and was planted in the universal mind, which grew into the tree of life. And the universe was now rhythmically vibrating, and from the vibration there was an emanation of light and energy, and the formation of geometric toroidal vortexes. The vortexes became denser until the illusion of matter was manifested. The water was formed, along with the elements, then life, and finally the poets, because it was simpler for universal mind to delegate responsibility for manifestation and creation. The poets became the moral compass, the legislators, the authors and authorities, creating the remainder. As the earth and humans evolved, a great spirit was sent, Thoth, who returned many times to light the way with poetry and wisdom. Well, I'm going to call on the great Thoth to join us now for a bit of spontaneous poetry. What have you got to say, Thoth? Well, hello, have a beautiful day, every day. Be joyous, happy, in every way. There's no reason to scream and shout and cry about what is all about. No, let go. Do not care. Yeah, be thankful that you can breathe the air. Because you could be locked inside a concrete box. Yeah, where you hide. I have this story just for you. Eat carpet. No, don't do it. Eat dirt. It's better for you. And once upon a time, there was this being who was born in this concrete box that I'm seeing. And inside this concrete box it was grey, and a voice would come every day. What would you like to eat today? And this is what the being in the box would say. I'd like to eat some carpet today. And the voice outside would reply, what colour carpet would you like there, inside guy? I think I would just like black. And don't call me inside guy, you can call me Jack or also Jill, I'm not too sure. Mary or Bill, but I don't know, I have no name, I'm just a man, or I don't know, I could be just full of woe. Just call me Woe, the man, if you can. Anyway, give me that carpet that's black. So the carpet was delivered into the box. And he looked at the carpet and he had a bite. This plastic formaldehyde smell tastes alright. When he ate the carpet and he stuck some on his wall, saved a little bit for decoration, and also a little bit to have a sit, to make it a more comfortable situation. And so every day the voice would come and say the same thing over and over every day. What do you want to eat today? And Woe, the man, would reply and say, I want carpet to eat today. And the voice would reply, what colour do you want? And he would say black. And he would eat it and he would decorate it inside of his grey concrete box. And one day the voice came, what do you want to eat today? And he replied, carpet, I want carpet every day. And what colour do you want to eat today? Well, I want black. But is there another colour? Apart from black and also grey? Is there another colour carpet I can have today? Well, you can have white. Well, I'd like some white if that's alright. So the white carpet came, and wow, it was just amazing. He was so amazed that it was so different to the black carpet, and it's like a contrast. So he saved a little bit and he stuck it next to the black on the wall. And every day the carpet would come and he was asked, what colour do you want? And he would reply, I want white carpet today. And then eventually he had a black and white checked carpet wall everywhere. What do you want to eat today? The voice came to say. Oh, I want carpet. What do you think I want? Every day. What colour do you want today? Oh, black or white? Oh, I'm not sure. If it's alright, is there another colour I can have tonight? Well, yes. There's red, orange, yellow too, and don't forget there's green and blue, indigo, and also violet, and every colour in between, if you understand what I mean. Well, give me one of each, a different one every day, and then that's one less thing for you to say. You don't have to ask me, what colour do you want to eat today? Okay? And so, each day came a different coloured carpet. And Woe, the man, as he can, would look at the carpet and go, oh, wow, look at that. That's amazing. You've never seen such beautiful colours. And he'd eat the carpet. And it always tasted like formaldehyde and smelt plastically and got stuck in his teeth. But he didn't mind because it looked different, and he would save a bit and stick it on the wall, and eventually he had a very colourful box. So one day the voice would come away. What do you want to eat today? And guess what Will would say? I want carpet today. And what colour do you want today to eat? Hey? Well, is there any more coloured carpets than the ones I've had? Because, this place is driving me mad. It's boring. I'm not feeling great. In fact, I'm a little bit sad. Well, yes, there's all coloured carpets in different patterns from all around the world. From every different country, from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe. Well, said Woe, the man, if you can, get me one from each country and tell me its history, how it's made and where it's from and, all that information. And bring me a different one every day. And then that's one less thing you have to say. What do we want to eat today and what colour, hey? Okay, so on the first day came a carpet from Afghanistan. And with that, the story that would accompany the carpet. This carpet was made by 9-year-old children working to feed their poor disabled mother. And they worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for $1 a day. Well, that didn't mean much to Woe, but he looked at the carpet and it was the most beautiful carpet he'd ever seen. Oh, look at that! Oh, and then he bit into it and it still tasted the same as everything else. And so, and he decorated his wall with it and all these carpets came from different places. But then one day the voice came, what do you want to eat today? Carpet. Well, what colour? Because there's no carpet actually, so I can't actually get you any carpet because all the carpet makers in all the world have gone on strike in support of the child slaves in Afghanistan. Oh, said Woe. He didn't really understand what that meant. He didn't understand what that meant at all. And so he's sort of like, don't worry about it. And I've got plenty of carpet to eat here. So he started to eat the carpet from his box until all the carpet was gone. Anyway, at the end, there's no carpet left, and Woe was looking around his box. And he's waiting for the voice to come. What do you want to eat today? But it never came. So he looked in the little door where the carpet came, and there was a handle. And he reached in and he turned the handle, and the box disintegrated. And there, around him, was the world all around. There was trees and dirt and sand and grass. And he looked down and he picked some grass up. He's like, looked at this carpet. Oh, wow, that's the most beautiful carpet ever. And he ate that. Oh, wow, that tastes so much better than the other carpet. And he picked some leaves and then he picked some other stuff. And everything tasted so good. And he ate some dirt and it tasted really good too. And then it was great. And it was really good. And then suddenly he's like getting really fit because he's like eating all this really healthy stuff. And then he went away and he started running through the forest and he could hear this voice singing. And then as he's running, he could hear it was the voice of the person who always delivered the carpet to him. And as he came to a clearing, there was the most beautiful woman in the world sitting in the middle of a clearing, surrounded by all these fruit and veggies. And she's like, oh, I've been waiting for you. But actually, it was the only woman he ever seen, so he didn't know if she was beautiful or not. But what do you want to eat today? Well, looks like you've got lots of carpet, he said. I'll have some of that. She said, this is not carpet. This is fruit. This is an apple, and this is vegetables, and this is a banana, and that's a broccoli. Wow. I said, whoa. And that's the end of the story. Eat dirt, because it's much better than eating carpet. All right, that's it for me. I'm here. Thundercloud, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rain. Everyone knows Mum calls me James. I'll see you tomorrow night here for tomorrow night for Wednesday Words, open mic poetry night from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame with all the crew, and we'll be here with you. Don't forget, down in Armidale is the Playhouse down there. They've got the Play 1984 happening now, so check that out online as well. All right, we'll see you later. Take it easy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you later next week.